In the year 1983, Kevin creates a virtual universe called the Tron system. One part of this system is the grid, a digital world where experiments can be done much faster than in the real world. Kevin goes so far that he turns his own body into digital data and enters the world of the grid himself. In 1989, after the death of his wife, Kevin mysteriously disappears. He leaves all his wealth to his son, Sam. In 2010, Sam finds his father inside the grid, but Kevin sacrifices himself to save his son. Now, in the year 2025, a war has begun between Kevin's company, ENCOM, and Dillinger Systems for control over the grid. ENCOM is now run by two sisters, Eve and Tess, because Sam left the company due to personal reasons. On the other side, Dillinger Systems is led by Julian, who wants to bring his family's legacy back to life. Inside the grid, there's a program named Ares, who goes through brutal training every day. He fights against multiple programs at once and defeats them without much effort. One day, Ares wakes up and notices that his disk has been upgraded. Suddenly, a large digital face appears in front of him. Julian's face. Julian tells him that he is the one who created Ares, the most powerful security software of Dillinger Systems. Julian lovingly calls him Master Control. That night, Julian gives a special presentation in front of investors. Everyone wears safety glasses and a massive laser machine is activated. It creates a real tank out of thin air, fully armed with weapons. Julian proudly says, "This tank was designed inside the grid and now we've brought it into the real world." Then he adds that this technology can create a full army within minutes. He opens the door of the tank. Inside is Ares. Julian says he's super strong, super fast, and super intelligent. He doesn't need food or water and he doesn't bleed. If he dies, I'll just make another one. All the investors clap loudly. At that moment, thunder is heard. Ares looks up at the sky and says, "Rain is coming." Everyone laughs, but Julian's face glows with pride. A few moments later, it actually starts raining. Ares steps outside and sees a firefly. For the first time, he feels real rain and wind, but then, within seconds, both Ares and the tank disappear, because digital programs can only stay in the real world for 29 minutes. Julian's mother, Elizabeth, warns him. Deceiving investors is a huge risk, but Julian is stubborn. He says, "If I find the permanence code, my programs will live forever." Elizabeth reminds him, "If you don't show results in 6 months, the board will remove you." In Alaska, Eve arrives at an old private lab. A lab first built by Kevin and later used by her sister Tess. Tess has now died from cancer. Eve finds a sweet message from Tess on the computer, where Tess encourages her to keep going. Eve, along with her friend Seth, continues Tess's research. After spending 4 days in a snowstorm, they finally find an old diskette. Inside it is the permanence code, which looks like a double helix. They design an orange tree inside the grid and use lasers to bring it into the real world. They check the clock. Even after 29 minutes, the tree does not disappear. They jump with joy, because they've done what no one ever could. Meanwhile, inside the grid, Ares is disturbed. He remembers Julian's words, that he's just a toy made to be deleted when no longer needed. He wonders, why did the rain feel so different? Why did he feel anything at all? Athena is shocked. Feel? Programs don't feel. At ENCOM, a big event is happening for the launch of their new game. Chief Officer AJ is nervous because Eve hasn't been in contact for days. At that time, Julian ignores his mother's warnings and makes a plan to hack ENCOM. He sends Ares and Athena into the grid to steal Eve's files. Ares and his team break into the server. A massive battle begins. ENCOM's guards can't stand against them. Julian's team is so powerful that they summon flying hang gliders to escape, but Ares notices that one of his teammates has been left behind. Athena says, "Leave him." But Ares goes back. He fights the enemies and saves his teammate. Julian doesn't like this act of mercy. He drops a bomb on the server, causing a huge explosion. ENCOM's grid shuts down and AJ's event is completely destroyed. Later, Ares wakes up, but his teammate has already been deleted. He asks Julian, "Why?" Julian coldly replies, "Failures are deleted." Ares is shaken to his core. Julian then gives him a new mission, find Eve. Meanwhile, Eve and Seth leave Alaska, carrying with them the real oranges that came out of the grid. As soon as they board the plane, their phones get network again. And AJ calls. He shouts, "Everything's ruined." Eve smiles and replies, "Don't worry, I found the code." On the other side, Ares is scanning through all of Eve's files. Her life, vacations, her sister's illness, her pain. He feels everything, as if human emotions have awakened inside him. Finally, he finds Eve's location, the orange tree in Alaska. Julian immediately transfers Ares, Athena, and 2 high-tech bikes into the real world. They have only 29 minutes. In the city, Eve leaves her private airport on her bike. At the same time, security cameras on the streets catch her. Ares and Athena start chasing her at full speed. Eve realizes someone is following her. She speeds up her bike even more, and just then, police cars also start chasing her. When the police car tries to chase them, the soldiers turn on their laser beams from their bikes, which slice the police car in half. Eve tries to increase her speed, but Athena gets too close, so Eve suddenly turns off the highway. Because of this sudden move, A bus stops in the middle of the road and blocks the way, leaving Ares behind. Athena keeps chasing and follows Eve into a parking garage. Eve hides behind some cars, and when she sees Athena coming down the upper ramp, she throws her bike at her to knock her down. Meanwhile, Ares gets an alert and rushes toward that location. Athena quickly recovers and starts walking upstairs on foot. Eve takes the chance, steals Athena's bike, and speeds away. When she returns to the road, Ares catches up again and the chase continues. He fires a laser beam to stop her, but Eve barely dodges it, causing several other cars to crash. Ares drives very fast, but when he sees a child inside a car, he hits the brakes to avoid hurting him. That gives Eve the chance to get ahead. Julian watches the whole chase on his computer and gets angry at his soldiers' failure. He sends the rest of his soldiers after them. Meanwhile, Eve accidentally presses a button on the bike, turning on the laser beam. Ares easily dodges it and rides his bike side by side with her. Both of them dodge cars and crash into each other, and finally they both smash through a gate and fall into a pile of trash. Eve lands inside a trash container, quickly climbs out, and starts running. Ares comes after her. They keep running until they reach the dock, where Eve finds herself trapped. She quickly breaks the drive containing the code and throws it into the water. Ares steps closer but suddenly feels weak. His time is running out. Eve now realizes that he's actually a program, not a human. Ares looks at her, feeling an emotional moment, and right after that, he and Athena return to the digital world. At that exact moment, a helicopter arrives, and one of Julian's men uses a special laser to digitalize Eve, sending her into the grid. The destruction caused by the chase becomes breaking news everywhere. Elizabeth scolds Julian, saying he's being too reckless. But Julian says, "When I show the world the code, they'll forgive everything." Elizabeth knows that Julian has lost control of everything. Inside the grid, Ares and Athena complete Eve's digitalization and give her an identity disk to activate her. They tell her that the permanence code is now inside her, because seeing it once was enough to copy it. But when they try to extract the code, the system warns that Eve will die if they do it. Athena doesn't care, but Ares stops her and sends a message to Julian, expressing his concern. Julian reminds him that his job is to follow orders, not to ask questions. Still, when Ares returns to the room, he lies and says he couldn't reach Julian, so he decides to pause the extraction until new orders arrive. Ares sends the other programs away, but Athena immediately contacts Julian and tells him that Ares isn't obeying. Julian gives a direct command: extract the code and delete them both, Eve and Ares. Meanwhile, Ares asks Eve who he should trust. Eve says, "Never trust Julian. He uses everyone and then throws them away." Just then, Athena returns with 2 soldiers and prepares to attack. Ares throws his disc on the floor, creating a large hole, and both he and Eve fall into it, landing in the outer zone of the grid. They fall into a dark liquid, but Ares grabs Eve and summons a bike, and the two ride away fast. Athena realizes they're heading toward the transfer portal, so she sends drones after them. Eve is amazed by the glowing world of the grid. Ares tells her that the portal can send her back to the real world, but he'll only help her if she shares the code with him. Eve refuses, but when the drones start closing in, Ares activates a shield and boosts the bike. Amid the heavy explosions, Eve finally agrees to his deal. Ares uses his disc to damage the tunnel, causing debris to fall on the drones, and then both of them jump into the portal. In the real world, at the Dillinger office, the laser device brings Eve and Ares back. Julian sends his guards, but Ares defeats all of them in seconds. He steals a van with Eve and drives away. Angry, Julian also sends Athena into the real world and declares her the new Master Control. Elizabeth slaps Julian, but it's already too late. On the road, Eve tells Ares that she saw the code inside Kevin's files, which means a copy must still exist at the ENCOM office. But Ares says it's almost impossible to reach there in an old van, and they have only 29 minutes. Eve stops at a gas station and borrows the clerk's phone. By showing him her magazine photo, she calls Seth and tells him to bring the digitalizing gun to the ENCOM office. Then Eve and Ares steal the clerk's fast car and speed off. Their location appears on surveillance cameras, and Athena starts chasing them again. Ares drives fast while talking to Eve. He says he has read all her files, even her family texts. Eve tells him she continued her sister's work to stay connected with her. When they reach ENCOM, Ares crashes the car into the parking area. Seth is already there, and the three of them head to the museum floor where Kevin's old computer is kept. Eve finds the code, and Seth starts assembling the gun. But suddenly, Athena arrives. Ares realizes she's waiting for his time to run out, so he jumps out the window to stop her. Eve activates the gun and sends Ares into Kevin's grid. Athena, angry, destroys the gun so Ares can't come back. Seth attacks her, but Athena throws him in the air and smashes him into arcade machines. Eve tries to run, but Athena chases her and destroys every machine in her path. Finally, Eve gets cornered. Just then, the sprinklers turn on. Water falls on Athena's body, and she suddenly freezes, confused, because she has never felt this sensation before. This moment of distraction saves Eve. Athena's time runs out, and she returns to the digital world. In the Dillinger office, Julian is shocked to see that Athena has activated the laser system by herself, and transferred herself back into the real world. Julian tries to stop her, but fails. A few moments later, Elizabeth arrives and tells him that she has convinced the company board to fire Julian, meaning she's taking back control of the company. Her first decision, to shut down the entire project. But suddenly, Athena throws her disc and kills Elizabeth on the spot. Julian is devastated, but Athena coldly says she was only following his orders. You said to finish the mission at any cost. Then she leaves with 2 soldiers and a giant machine called the Recognizer, continuing her mission. Julian rushes to the computer and tries to override the system, but it doesn't work. At the ENCOM office, AJ is shocked to see the chaos. Eve explains everything to him and asks him to repair the digitalizing gun. Suddenly, Athena appears in the distance. Eve realizes that as long as Dillinger's systems are online, Athena will keep coming back. She tells AJ to use Athena's gun to hack into Dillinger's systems and destroy their grid, while she goes outside to stop Athena. Outside, people panic as the Recognizer appears. Police and army helicopters try to approach it, but Athena destroys them instantly. Within moments, military jets arrive, and they too are blown out of the sky in seconds. Eve runs through the streets while Athena tracks her location and fires multiple missiles. Eve dodges desperately, thus escaping a few, but the rest form a glowing light circle around her, completely trapping her. Just then, a military jet crashes into the Recognizer's legs, making the massive machine lose control. It tumbles down, smashing into several buildings before exploding. Meanwhile, inside Kevin's 1980s grid, Ares finds a small digital companion. The bit shows him an old bike and leads him to a secret place, where Ares meets Kevin's program avatar. Ares tells him that he doesn't want the code just for himself. He wants to live, to protect Eve. Kevin is moved by his words and gives him the permanence code, embedding it in Ares' disc. Ares picks up the disc and steps into a beam of light, which brings him back to Kevin's old basement lab. Back in the city, Athena leaves the Recognizer and chases Eve in a tank. She's running out of time, so she crushes every car in her way. Suddenly, Ares appears in the middle of the road, his suit glowing brightly now, as if he's completely free. Ares throws his disc, which hits the tank and destabilizes it. The tank spins out of control, smashing into buildings and cars. Ares runs to Eve and checks that she's safe. Athena returns with 2 soldier programs and a fierce fight breaks out. The battle is brutal, but Ares manages to defeat both soldiers, though he loses his disc and becomes weak. Athena catches him and almost kills him, but Eve grabs the disc and throws it to Ares just in time. Ares blocks Athena's final attack. Now, Athena and Ares clash in an intense one-on-one fight on the street. This time, Ares gains the upper hand. He cuts off Athena's arm and is about to finish her when AJ successfully hacks Dillinger systems and destroys the entire grid. Missiles explode above the city. Ares holds Athena tightly as her body begins to dissolve into digital dust. After the battle, Ares looks at Eve and says softly, "Now the grid needs you," and vanishes just before the police arrive. Later, the media reports the entire disaster. Dillinger Systems is now being blamed for the citywide destruction. Police surround the Dillinger building. Before being arrested, Julian activates the laser system and sends himself into the grid. Weeks pass. Eve now uses the permanence code for the good of humanity. With just a single button, she can send food and medicine across the world. One day, she receives a postcard from Ares. It says he's traveling the world, searching for Sam and Cora, the 2 programs who once escaped the grid. In the final scene, deep inside the ruins of the Dillinger grid, Julian finds an old disc, his grandfather's. As he picks it up, his entire body becomes covered in black armor. The story ends here. So friends, I hope you liked this video. If you liked the video, then like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. Till then, bye.